go. Right, Jan.
All right.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you very much.
And yeah, so to introduce you, so you are Jan from UnitedUs, actually the creator of UnitedUs.
One of the creators, yes.
One of the creators.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want to bring on stage to talk about brand storytelling.
Yeah.
And just to hear your perspective on it as someone who runs a brand agency. And yeah, let's just go with the flow and see where we end up.
Cool, awesome.
But first off, I'd love to hear about you and UnitedUs. If you could.
Gosh, yes. So
big question.
Yeah. So well, maybe we'll start with UnitedUs. So yeah, UnitedUs are a brand agency based down here, very close to you in Brighton. So we've been going for, I think, since 2012. So this is what, our 13th year. My maths is right. So yeah, I formed the business basically with one of my business partners, Luke, who's the kind of creative director, I suppose, here at UnitedUs. And we met because we were both kind of working in the sort of freelance space in Brighton. Luke was more of a kind of print designer, I was more of a kind of digital designer. And we kind of met because, yeah, Luke was just like moved into this building that I had a desk space in. He's like, "Hi, my name's Luke. I'm new here. Do you want to be my friend?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not? Meet some nice people." Like very similar to when we first met, just kind of people reaching out and I'm always keen to kind of meet new creatives or people doing stuff in Brighton. And yeah, Luke came to meet me. He thought I was going to be a girl because I'm Jan with a J, so he thought he was going to meet kind of a lovely date with Jan.
It's a surprise, but
yeah, and we met in Red Roaster just around the corner, who we have a long history with, and we just kind of got on well. We both started really. It kind of transpired. Obviously, Luke was more into print, I was more into digital, so we kind of just collaborated on projects really, and we were doing this for a while. And it was kind of weird because it's like, oh, I'm sort of doing work and getting someone else in on it, and we then turned it into a company. Originally we were called PixaDot, pixels for digital, dots for print, and we really kind of evolved into a more strategic kind of brand agency. So we still do design, kind of visual design, and that really kind of came about because we were always kind of questioning like why we're doing things. I'm sure anyone who's worked in design, kind of creative industries, you get a brief, you respond to the brief, and then quite often the client might be like, "Yeah, well, it's not quite right," and it's like, "But it's this is what the brief is," and we just found ourselves kind of really first up questioning the brief sort of every time, like, okay, is this really what we're trying to achieve? Is this the best way to do it? And really getting to know the client, understand them, understand their challenges and their problems, to then figure out, okay, how can we turn this into something that's actually going to work for them, that kind of goes beyond that brief, and it's kind of really gone from there. We took on a team member called 𝗀𝗏𝗏, and that was like, it feels like 5 years ago, but it probably wasn't. It's probably 8 years ago, and she was a brilliant strategist, really much more kind of in depth and that sort of stuff than Luke and I were. So she came on, really kind of grew that. We then made her a director, I think 3 or 4 years ago. So there's now 3 of us kind of running it, and yeah, it's kind of gone from there. And we've now got a team of copywriters, designers, developers, and yeah, our work is really about finding what is working with clients to really understand their brand, create a brand strategy, how that ties to business strategy. What is that story we're trying to tell that's going to really kind of engage with clients and achieve some kind of business goals as well. So yeah, that's kind of where we are now. So it's been a sort of a journey, and we're always kind of evolving and changing, I think, what we're doing based on our kind of personal interests and ambitions and goals and what people want and what the market's doing. So yeah,
because what's really cool is like it started with just two of you, and like where it is today, and just everything you just shared there is like it hasn't just been a straightforward line. It's like there's been twists, turns as people come in, like people go in, like things scaling. And how have you managed to keep the soul of the business intact through that journey?
Yeah, good question. I think Luke and I have always been of the opinion, you know, we sort of you spend most of your day like at work, like the best part of the day, and particularly when you're running your own business agency, like that's a long day. So we wanted to have something we enjoy that is fun, and I think we've always tried to kind of keep that mentality. So you know, it doesn't mean we're going to be kind of going around on unicycles and playing table tennis all day. But yeah, that'd be nice. But it means that we want to enjoy the space we're in, enjoy the kind of clients we have, the work we're doing, and because it is our agency, we can kind of control that to a point. You know, we can choose who we work with, we can choose what projects we take on, we can choose who we employ, and that's a big part of it as well, making sure we employ people who want to kind of be a part of that culture, but also bring their own kind of take to it and add to that, and can make that more kind of diverse in many ways. So yeah, and I think because we are still so close to the business, we're still here working in the studio and working with the team, and we just try to kind of keep that going, I think. And it is hard work to a point. I think Luke's a bit more kind of outgoing than me, so I'm quite happy to sort of sit there, get my work done. Luke likes to kind of rally the troops a bit more. But we're building lots of kind of things to kind of keep that culture going, kind of rituals and little things where we can get together, or just, I suppose, like, spend that time together and make sure that what we're doing is, I suppose, kind of authentic and not too forced, really.
Yeah, because that's something that really attracted me to you guys initially as well, like when I first reached out, because I'd just moved to Brighton and it was 2022, I think it was. And yeah, like I was basically new to the city, and I was looking for design agencies because I was product design freelancing at that point, and we reached out, and the thing that, well, I reached out to you, not we reached out, I reached out to you. And yeah, like when we went for a coffee and you kind of shared the story of UnitedUs, but prior to that, actually just seeing your presence like online on your website and just getting a feel for what you do, like already having been working in design for a number of years before that, I had a good sense of like who I was drawn towards and reasons why I was drawn to certain people and companies. And what I was really drawn to you about was the fact that there was real integrity to your work, and like every brand was like distinctively designed, yet there was like it still felt touched by you, and there was real strength in each of, there was real individuality in each of your brands, but there's also really high quality in each of them as well. And I'm wondering, like, with the process that you go through with your clients, like how do you bring that out of them?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's great that kind of comes across, I think, through the website and what we're doing. You know, we sometimes feel so kind of close to it and so kind of stuck in it. You don't really know maybe how other people are perceiving it sometimes. So it's great that that came across, and it's great that you got in touch. So how do we do it with clients? So we kind of have different approaches, different ways of going through it depending on the client, but so really kind of, I suppose, fundamentally comes down to really understanding who that client is. So who are they, what makes them tick, what why they exist, what they're trying to do. We really get to know clients, really get to understand their industry, their business, their challenges, we're really getting under the skin of what their kind of business strategy is. And I think it's through that we're able to really understand all the factors at play. Because I think we have to be quite careful in particularly kind of brands. I think any brand, but particularly when you're working with clients who are paying, you know, good money for something that needs to get a return on their investment. There are lots of factors at play in quite complicated landscapes. So some of our clients work in very technical industries. So we have to understand how does it fit within that, what are the challenges, what are the kind of potential pitfalls. And it's kind of through that, I think, understanding that we can work out, okay, well, what's going to make them different? What people are going to maybe listen to? What are people going to take notice of? And then really kind of taking that and I think amplifying it. And there's lots of ways we can do that through kind of written word, through visual identity, through how they kind of approach maybe their marketing. But ultimately, it has to be really authentic. I think a lot of the clients we tend to work with tend to be we have all kinds of clients, particularly in like the service sector, where it's like a very like human relationship. If that authenticity isn't there, it collapses. And we're very kind of careful when we meet new clients or start working with people to make sure they are authentic. If they're essentially trying to get us to create something that is, I suppose, a lie or a facade, then we tend to kind of stay clear of it because it's just not going to be an authentic brand. For us, we're quite strict about who we work with, so it has to fit within that.
Because there's something that was coming through me there, like when we were sharing, is, and it comes back to you kind of growing your business to begin with, and like the one word that was coming through me was family. And the fact that we're in like your office space right now, and like it feels like a home. And because there's like the bathroom there, there's a bedroom, this is the living room area, I guess. But it's like a real family home vibe to it. And what was coming across to me with clients, it's almost like they're like the in-laws.
Right,
and just having finished Christmas, and that's probably quite fresh in people's minds, there's a lot to navigate through that when you bring two together. And in the middle, there's like a shared purpose, because you said there like you only work with brands that are really kind of driving towards being authentic, and then that kind of almost like calls away brands that you don't work with because they're just not on that path, and that's not their mission. So it kind of feels like you've got like a set of values that you work towards with those clients. And I'm wondering, so when those two meet, like you with the client, like what are some of those fuzzy things that you come across, and how do you overcome those challenges?
So I think it does come down to that sort of relationship side of things. I think it's interesting to say kind of the family vibe in the studio. I mean, some of us are sort of vaguely related, which probably doesn't add to it, but we're quite. We try and create a place that's, I suppose, kind of can be like a home for the team. So a lot of our team, particularly, there's a lot of talk at the moment about, do we just go fully remote? It's kind of a bit of a debate at the moment about remote working versus kind of keeping a place where everyone comes into the office, and we're quite flexible with it. But for us, it's really important to have this like home, this kind of base. So having the studio where there may be some days where there's not many people here, but giving team members who maybe don't have the luxury of a garden office or a space to work in their house, where they've always got somewhere they can come, be with the team, collaborate, feel safe and welcome is really important. So obviously the space we're in now is like an apartment on top of our office, and we allow clients to come and stay here. So if we've got a project on, they need to fly in from somewhere, or they just fancy a weekend out in Brighton, we get them to come down here. And it's about really getting to I suppose, build that relationship with them and the trust, and you really see it over kind of the journey of a project where maybe at the start they might be hesitant to do some things in the project, but as you kind of progress through, really earn their trust, show them that we have the best intentions and we understand them, they're then able to, I think, just kind of open up a bit more, give us more time allow us to maybe tackle some of those challenges that they weren't totally sure that we were best placed to look at. So does that answer your question? Or sort of...
Yeah, like because I think this was almost going to take me into another pathway, and I'm always kind of hesitant to go down this pathway, but I was going to basically then go into ask you thoughts about like working from home and like because because like different people have different ways of working, and it's like that's a real sort of relationship thing of like being in the same place, and you get more from someone when you're in person, and it's like, but then that doesn't always practically work out. But the other angle I wanted to like go down was like keeping with the storytelling piece, because there's something there around like tying the relationship and getting that out of people, like so, and like linking our two worlds together. Like for me, like when I'm like, for me, like I work one-on-one with people, and then that's like predominantly the work that I do. Like and it's all about kind of sitting with someone and getting to know their story, and to unpack like who they are. But then that being like in a one-on-one situation is a bit more easier to like arrange that. But then when you're working on a company level, and like one of your core values, like you mentioned, was authenticity and really getting to the roots of that person's story. Like how do you then facilitate that on a company-wide level where there's a lot more?
Well, interesting, actually, a lot of it is done through kind of one-on-one time. Like we put a lot of time up front to sit down with key team members and stakeholders to really understand their kind of, I suppose their stake in it is, and how they've got to where they are, whether it's a founder story or whether it's someone heading up a department and understanding their challenges and what they've been going through and what the brand means to them. And that's probably some of our most kind of valuable time and insight. On a kind of wide level, we'll do kind of workshops and try and include as much of a company as is kind of practical, and we do a lot of kind of staff surveys, client surveys, we do client interviews. So I think it probably is a very similar approach of just taking that time to sit with people, talk to them, having some questions. We'll usually go into a client interview with kind of a bunch of questions, but it might go off on a tangent. We sort of see where it goes, and I think it's having the skills with the team who are doing that to work out what's the interesting stuff, what's the stuff we want to maybe dive deeper into. So it's probably quite similar, I think.
So cause I think because bringing that into the next piece of thread is like how does that then, because you've got all these different voices that come in, and then how do you then bring that together to then be like, okay, cool, like this is we've got it. This is it.
Good question. So I mean, there's a lot of voices, I suppose, because we're not just taking into account the testimony of people we're talking to. We're looking at kind of maybe market implications, like implications of their product or service. So there's a lot of kind of factors at play, but I think it's when you kind of understand that and you start to kind of unearth that kind of creative hook, and I think that's where it's really important we work as a team and have lots of people who we tend to kind of get together at the end of a research phase when the strategy's forming, and we'll get maybe a team together, and it'll have someone from copy, someone from design, probably like development as well, strategy, and it's those people really kind of coming together and going, okay, what can we do? Like, what's something really cool we can make from this kind of data, or whatever the challenge is, the strategist will usually come up with, okay, what's like the thing we're trying to solve, or where's maybe the area of opportunity. So we do hone it down to a point, but I think it does just come then down to like good, experienced people coming up with something really cool, and then working out how to kind of execute that in a really exciting way.
Yeah, because the other thing was like just from meeting different people in the team is like everyone's got like a very unique specialism as well.
Yeah.
And there's like complementary like skill sets, but it feels like the people that you've got within the team are very much individuals.
Yeah.
And how do you? Well, there's two questions. Like how do you choose the people that come into your team, and how do you like facilitate that so then everyone's working in tandem, but no one's overstepping each other? Yeah.
So the kind of hiring thing's always a challenge. We generally kind of, because we are quite small, so there's 14 of us, 15 of us, so it'd kind of be like, okay, we're starting to get more busy in this space, maybe we need someone, and then that process to hire someone can be quite long. So we really try and get to know people. So much like when you emailed me saying, hi, I'm �υλ𝗂𝗶𝗴𝗶𝗏, I'm to Brighton, you guys are doing some cool stuff, do you want to meet up? Like, you had a CV, I think, in like user experience or product design at the time, and it's like, okay, cool, like we don't need anyone for this right now, but hopefully one day we will, or we've got ambitions to build out the UX team, design team. So if someone kind of gets in touch and they've got something, maybe an interesting story, they're doing some interesting work, or they've made an effort. A lot of people get in touch and don't make any effort to kind of really strike up any sort of individual conversation. Then we'll be like, yeah, cool, let's take the time, go for a coffee, come and see us. And it's through that I think we really get to know people locally and in the industry, where we can be like, okay, we can maybe see an opportunity coming up where we need someone in this space, or maybe we could collaborate with this person on something, and then kind of building that up, getting to know people. So a lot of our employees here we've kind of got to know over the course of a few months, in some cases years, before we've kind of gone, cool, like there's a role here, do you want to come and join us? So it's making sure that we get that right as well, because I think we don't want to take someone on and then kind of after a month be like, do you know what, it's not working out because we didn't really take time to get to know you, and then causing huge upheaval for people. So and then the kind of, I suppose, just kind of keeping everyone working together. I don't know, this sort of stepping on toes thing, I don't think we get too much of that, because I think everyone is sort of, they know that we're working together for the best interests of the agency and our clients, which is where the name UnitedUs came from. So if someone has a great idea, we'll have a designer might come up with a tagline for a client, and we're like, do you know what, that's really great, we're going to use that. And the copywriters don't get upset about it. They're like, do you know what, yeah, that's really cool, I've got loads of stuff I can then take that and run with it. And we do lots of things to make sure we have time to collaborate and go over projects, that kind of thing. So it's just making sure we're a good team, I suppose.
Yeah, because there's something coming through there as well around, because the words that kind of coming through for me is like relationships really important, like the family feel that you have, there's real warmth in just you as a person, like there's like composure, so it's like everything's kind of methodically created, and that's kind of,
that's nice it comes across like that.
This me just kind of sharing it. But it was also some like, how do you because in moments of high stress and things are kind of happening, and how do you keep creativity alive and keep people like within their creative flow as well, because there's a lot of moving parts and like a lot of people, and how do you ensure that creativity still thrives within?
So we're quite, the creativity thing is interesting. I think we really encourage creativity, and really want people to kind of thrive and feel they have a creative outlet. But we kind of remind people as well, to point it as a kind of commodity. Like our creativity has to be, we all have to be, I suppose, at a level of confidence and maturity and understanding that we're not here necessarily as artists. We're here being paid by a client to create some value for their project. So that kind of puts a bit of pressure on, and I think just allows us to have some guide rails of like, okay, this isn't necessarily kind of all out free expression. We have things we need to kind of do and achieve. But I don't know, a deadline I think can sometimes be good for creativity because it really makes you focus. And I certainly probably do my best work when I'm, I don't have 6 months to do it. I've got a few days or a week, because you just know you've got to like focus on it and you've got to get it right. But yeah, I think it is. But we do give people time to like explore things. So if people are really interested in, like the development team, we encourage them to explore new ways of things they're doing with code. There might be like a visual thing or kind of an API thing, whatever they're doing. Like the design teams are, we try and give them time to like explore new things, particularly around like AI technologies and all the rest of it. So we try and still build in that time where people can explore their interests, whilst kind of remembering what we're trying to do. And I don't know, I think just trying to again, I think collaboration, if you get stuck, like if you have, this is something that Luke and I used to do quite a lot when we were starting out, the two of us sitting next to each other, you might be working on something and you kind of feel like you're not really getting somewhere with it, and just getting someone else to go, what do you think of this? This is kind of where I am, my brain's maybe not working and I'm sort of don't know where to go with it, and they can just be like, yeah, cool, like how about we try this, or that's brilliant, get rid of that. And I think that can really help to just unlock that flow of it.
Like I said, 'cause the point you said there about free expression and putting rails onto it, I think it's really important because it's basically like the seas, and like the sea's just out, and like it's just water, but then you need to basically contain it for it to become something. Like if you have just like open water, like it's just water, but then if you put it into a water bottle, it's like a bottle of water.
Exactly. I think it's a nice analogy. I think that kind of ties back to what I was saying earlier around why we kind of started and started becoming really interested in strategy and really unpacking those briefs, is because design creativity is like just this vast thing, and when you're trying to do it to a deadline or for a client, you kind of have to put some parameters around it to really start honing it down, understanding what that outlet is going to be, so that you're kind of taking away the subjectivity to a point. I think we try and kind of build rationale and thinking behind kind of every design decision we're making, so that we can back it up and justify it and not have a kind of an argument about colour because someone just doesn't like blue or whatever. We've all had it and that kind of thing in the past. So it really is about just, I think, trying to refine it, hone it down, make sure we can like hit a target with it rather than
So honing into like a bit of into a point, because I think we've basically just gone through the story of UnitedUs and in your process from you starting all the way through to you how you work with clients to how you work with your team, and then all the way through to from free expression into creating. And I'd love to hear from you, like, as a SEAL, is what going forward, like, do you have like certain pieces of design that you want to put out into the world, or certain causes that you're moving towards, or is there anything that's driving at the moment?
I think we were talking about this a bit today. I think like kind of economically, the last few years have been very kind of turbulent. So it's been quite difficult sometimes to stay on mission. So I think the kind of the culture side of things and making sure that we have that team and we all have somewhere to be and the kind of purpose around it that we were talking about, I think is kind of really been probably our focus over the last few years. I think going forward we're sorry, what was the question? I distracted myself.
if you're driving towards something, is there something that you're moving towards, like in terms of causes or projects, or like things that you're wanting to solve with design?
Yeah, I don't know. I think there's something we kind of what I'm becoming quite interested in is around I think new careers in design. So we're doing quite a lot of work with kind of Portsmouth University and Bournemouth as well around just working with the students there, trying to kind of working with them on live briefs, because I think getting into the industry is very difficult. I think it's going to be more and more challenging as kind of AI kind of chops out all of those kind of entry level tasks and jobs. So that's something I'm becoming quite interested in. I think generally in the kind of bigger business scheme side of things, we are quite, I suppose, socially conscious as a business. So we have like an ethics policy. We're kind of in the last sort of few bits of our kind of B Corp accreditation. So we're trying to, I suppose, be a good influence and really take that forward with our clients. But really, we're just kind of keen to work with just interesting people, interesting businesses. We're not really necessarily fussed about kind of big names. For a lot of those big names, the work has kind of been done. We want to work with the people who want to be brave, do something different, and really want to kind of challenge either something in their industry or maybe in their society or community or whatever it might be. And I suppose that's what kind of interests us, and is those projects that we get really excited about.
Yeah, amazing, Jan. Yeah, thanks so much, for taking the time today to share your story and also go deep into brand stories and
Brilliant. Well, no, thank you very much for having me along. It's been good to chat, and it's weird sometimes when you kind of sit down and talk about it. You're like, oh yeah, maybe we have got something together.
Such a cool story, and doing amazing work.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.